Dear students, today I am going to teach you about the 15th group, which contains nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth, and the electronic configuration is inert gas plus NH2 and P3. Okay, so there are in p orbital there are 3 electrons, and hence the ionization energy of this group is higher. And this kind of element is known as nicogen. In Greek, nikmos means suffocations. Okay, so many compound of this group of elements have a suffocating order. So the name nicogen belongs to this. And there are transitions from non-metal to metal that we all know, like from nitrogen can act as a non-metal, and if we are moving downward the group, bismuth is a metal. Okay, so nitrogen and bismuth do not show allotropy, whereas phosphorus, antimony, phosphorus, arsenic and antimony have allotropes. So this is the general periodic table. So if I am talking about the physical state, nitrogen is a gas, whereas bismuth is a solid. And the structure of nitrogen is like N triple bond N. For bismuth it is a BCC, and rest of the three contains allotropes. Nitrogen is a generally diatomic gas at NTP, and it is due to the very effective due to this p-pi bonding in nitrogen that we all know. The electronic configuration is like helium 2s2 and 2p3, so there are 3 unpaired electron in p orbitals, so they can make easily bond 1 sigma and 2 pi bonds with another atom or another nitrogen and make a nitrogen gas. And the hybridization is sp, and this 2s electron can act as a lone pair of electron. So the sigma bond is formed by linear overlap, that is a sp hybridizations, whereas pi bonds by side overlap, like it is due to the like px or py, I can say in short like due to the p orbitals. The lone pair are in sp. So hybridization is like sp type, and the molecule is a non-polar. Okay. So similar in P, phosphorus is a large molecule, so that's why p-pi bonding is not effective. So phosphorus never form like a P2 component like nitrogen, and in normal condition phosphorus is like a tetrahedral structure like P4, which is a white color, and the P4 unity is a tetrahedral, and each P is sp3 hybridized. Means what? Each p atom can join with another for another 3 phosphorus atom. Okay, so the fourth sp3 hybrid orbital is occupied by lone pair, and the structure is like this. So this kind of tetrahedral structure is there, and this is a lone pair. So the bond distance is like 2.21 angstrom, and bond angle is 60. So hence this is a highly reactive, and you have to keep it in water. So phosphorus has 3 allotropes: white phosphorus, red phosphorus and black phosphorus. For white phosphorus that we had already discussed now. For red phosphorus is like a polymeric solid which has a like P4 unit joined together. It is a stable and less reactive compound, and this is due to this polymeric structure, and due to this polymeric structure, and even it is like some kind of non-covalent compound. It forms like covalent bond, so that's why it is insoluble in organic solvent like carbon disulfide and carbon tetrachloride, etc. So you can heat this at 250 degrees centigrade, so you will get red phosphorus. Then black phosphorus, so the structure of black phosphorus is like a hexagonal ring structure, and the PPP angle is like 100 degrees centigrade, and it is almost stainless structure, and the bond distance is like 2.20 angstrom, and it is a more stable and is a inert. So this is the inert, and this is the general properties of all the elements. Like if you are moving up to down the cell, one cell will add, so the atomic radius is increases, and hence ionic radius also increases, except antimony and bismuth. And the electronegativity is always decreases. The melting and boiling point mostly increases. So this is the first ionization energy. So for first ionization energy of this is like always come this kind of in MCQ. So the first ionization energy of nitrogen is the highest in that particular group, because it is like the 3 electrons are in 2p orbital, so it is a half fill orbitals. Okay. So nitrogen are generally trivalent and can expand its valency only to maximum 4. So this is for trivalent, and it can donate this lone pair of electron and make like a tetravalent compound. Whereas for phosphorus, there is a 3d orbital is there. Okay, so it can make like a trivalent, tetravalent, pentavalent, and even hexavalent also. So this is the ground state configurations of phosphorus, whereas this is the excited state. Okay, and this is for pentavalent. So like if one electron will this 3s2 in excited, this one of the electron from 3s, it goes to here 3d. So the configuration like is this. P is hexavalent when pentavalent P sulfide accept Lewis base. So if in phosphorus pentachloride, if it accepts one more chlorine atom, then it becomes a phosphorus hexavalent. And this extra electron, it will occupy the b orbital space. So nitrogen cannot form NC-alpha because it does not have a d orbital. So this is also very important MCQ questions. The oxidation state and nature of the bond. Nitrogen shows oxidation state -3 to +5, similar for phosphorus also. But the phosphorus does not make the compound similar to nitrogen also. That we will see later. So this is the oxidation state, and according to these are your molecules. So similarly, this is the oxidation state, and this is the molecule for phosphorus. Okay, so phosphorus shows the following oxidation state only, like nitrogen and phosphorus in their -3 oxidation state, they have a noble gas configurations, because they are gaining electrons, and hence they are acting. They can act as an, or I can say they have a noble gas configurations. However, these changes require a large amount of energy. Therefore, ionic nitrides and phosphides are formed by few metals. So these are the examples. Nitrogen and phosphorus have a high ionization energy, that I had already told you. Why? Because they have like half filled orbitals, and the attractions of proton towards the electron is very high. Okay, so that's why due to the high ionization energy, they always form covalent compounds, and nitrogen achieves stable configuration in the following way. So there are 3 ways where nitrogen can achieve a stable configurations. So first one is like it can make a covalent bond. So 3 covalent bond it can easily make. Okay, and this can act as a lone pair. So they can make as a single bond. or it may be like double or triple bond, or with tricovalent, either a double or like this kind of tricovalent, and this lone pair can nitrogen can donate to H plus and make this kind of configuration like Lewis space. So these are the three main ways where nitrogen can achieve a stable configuration. However, there are some stable configurations of nitrogen where the valence electric cell is not complete. So these are the example like nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, etc. And due to these incomplete valence cells, they can act as a paramagnetic. And phosphorus does not form many compounds like nitrogen, but because it cannot enter into p-pi bonding, which is very effective in the case of nitrogen. So these are the some of the molecules which are exist for nitrogen, whereas it is not exist for phosphorus. So the tri and pentaoxide of phosphorus are actually in dimeric form. So P4O6 and P4O10. So hydride, it always make MH3 type of hydride, means it can this kind of compound can make a covalent bond with 3 hydrogen molecules. So the hydride is like MH3 type hydride, and they are colorless, fouling smell, poisonous gas. And these are the general characteristics. Properties which decreases from down the group. So heat of formations always decreases. Then the bond energy, because the bond length is increases, that's why bond energy decreases. Thermal stability is also decreases. The donor property is also decreases, and water soluble property is also decreases. So ammonia is only the water soluble due to the hydrogen bonding, whereas rest of the 4 molecules, they do not form the hydrogen bond, so they are insoluble, but they are soluble in some kind of organic solvent like carbon tetrachlorides and ethers, etc. So these are the some properties which are increasing, like the reducing power is increases because non-metal to metal character. The melting point always increases, and toxicity is always increases. So phosphine is a poor donor than ammonia, so it can be seen from this Boson's affinity. Like for ammonia, you can easily prepare NH4 plus, and that's why the delta H is little bit higher compared to PH3. So that's why NH3 can act as a strong base than PH3. And structure of hydrides is like tetrahedral structure. And if I'm talking about the ammonia, so it can easily make a 3 covalent bond with a hydrogen, and this is the one of the lone pair of electron. And according to BSEPR theory, lone pair always makes strand on the bond pair. So that's why if I'm talking about the general tetrahedral structure, so bond angle is around 109, whereas here the lone pair is present. So that's why this lone pair can make a strain or strays toward this bond pair. So that's why the bond angle is little bit decreases, and for HN and bond angle is like 107 degree. So with increases of central atom from top to down, the bond angle always decreases. And some of the importance hydride for nitrogen and phosphorus. So for nitrogen, the most important compound is ammonia, and for phosphorus is phosphine and diphosphine. Ammonia, that you all knows, because during inorganic qualitative analysis the ammonia gas is released, and the smell is little bit like irritating smell, as well as a very strong smell. So it can be easily prepared. You know the Haber process, which is generally used in industry. Okay, but you can even prepare ammonia in laboratory also, like if you have ammonium chloride and if you are adding NaOH into it and heat the solutions, so the ammonia will release. So this is the conformative test for NH4 plus ion in your solution. So this test you are doing in your inorganic qualitative analysis, and you are checking it with turmeric paper whether it will turn into red color, so you can say the NH4 plus ion is present in your solution. Similarly, if you have ammonium acetate and if you are doing reaction with calcium hydroxide, so the ammonia will generate. You can produce with magnesium nitrate. If you are doing hydrolysis, you will get ammonia, and this is the decomposition that you all know. However, from ammonium salts, which contains oxidizing anion, forms N2 or N2O on heating. So, like if you have like ammonium nitrate, so you will get nitrous oxide as a product, which is a laughing gas. Like if you have ammonium nitrate, then nitrogen. Then if you have ammonium dichromate, so nitrogen will produce. So for industry, mostly ammonia you can synthesize or manufacture with the help of Haber process. So for nitrogen and hydrogen, you have to take Fe as a catalyst and MO as a promoter at 450 degrees centigrade. So you will get ammonia as a product, and during this reaction, a certain amount of heat will generate. Another one is a cyanamide product. So you have to do reactions of calcium carbide with nitrogen in electronic furnace at 1000 degrees and 1100 degrees centigrade. So you will get a nitrolium and this CaCN2 calcium cyanide. If you are doing hydrolysis, you will get ammonia as a product. Whereas for phosphorus, the hydride is important hydride is PH3 phosphorus. So you can easily prepare the phosphine with reactions of white phosphorus with sodium hydroxide solution. So you will get a PH3 as a product. Okay, and in these reactions, this sodium hypophosphate is also formed, and it's monosodium phosphate, and in this reaction, some of the like dihydride P2H4 is also formed as a side product, and it is a inflammable in air. And even you can make a PH3 from ionic phosphide also. So for calcium phosphide, you have to do hydrolysis, and you will get your product. Ammonia is a water soluble material, and PH3 is insoluble. The ammonia is water soluble. It is only due to the hydrogen bonding that we know. So that's why it is a soluble. Then oxide of nitrogen and phosphorus. So nitrogen can form stable oxide from +1 to +5 oxidation state, whereas for phosphorus is only +3 and +5 states are available. So according to the oxidation state, these are the product for nitrogen oxide and phosphorus oxide. Okay. So first one is nitrous oxide that we all know. It is used as a laughing gas, and nowadays mostly dentists are using this nitrous oxide for the dental treatment. So you can easily produce from sodium nitrate, which is available in lab, and you have to just heat it around 250 to 2 degrees 60 degrees centigrade. So you will get nitrous oxide, and nitric oxide is an impurity during these preparations, and it is removed by passing this gas mixture from FeSO4 solutions. So this FeSO4 will absorb the nitric oxide. The structure is similar like to carbon dioxide. It is a linear structure, and bond angle is like 180 degree. Okay, and the distance between D and N is like 1.126 angstrom, and the distance between bond length between nitrogen and oxygen is 1.186 angstrom. So it is like it is showing always this kind of resonance structure. Then nitric oxide. So you can easily prepare nitric oxide also in lab, while during reactions between HNO3 and copper. Okay, so you will get a nitrous oxide and copper nitrate. Dry nitro NO can be prepared by these reactions, like you have to do reactions with KNO2 and KNO3 with chromium oxide. So you will get nitrous oxide, and commercially mostly they are using this method, which is a Ostwald process. For ammonia, you can do reactions with oxygen and you will get nitrous oxide plus water molecule. And one of the most important thing, there are 11 electrons in it. So if this number is odd, so you can say it is a paramagnetic. And the bonding in NO is the best understood by MO theory, and the electronic configurations is like that. So sigma raised to 1, sigma star raised to 1, then sigma 2 raised to 2, pi 4, pi star raised to 1, and hence the bond order is like you can calculate it 8 minus 3. So how this you can write, so simple. What you have to consider, you have to just remove these inert configurations, like for helium that you are writing 1s2, and that you have to remove, and similar for, you can write it, but even if you are, it is an easy way if you are not considering it. So instead of just you write the electronic configurations for outermost orbital, then it will be easy for you to get the idea about whether your structure is a paramagnetic or diamagnetic. So here we have to only consider for, like if I'm talking about the nitrous oxide, so I have to only consider for nitrogen 2s2 and 2p3, and for oxygen I have to consider 2s2 and 2p4. So total number of electrons is 11, and I have to arrange that particular electron into this is for, like you can consider for 2s, this is sigma and sigma star, and this belongs to p. Okay, now the bond order is very easy. You have to consider this like sigma 1 and sigma 2 and pi. So if you are calculating, this is the electron, you can write like 2, 2, 4 and 4, 8. And for sigma star and pi star, there are 3 electrons that you have to write here and divided by 2. So it's 2.5. So the NO distance is like 1.14 angstrom, and which is an intermediate between double and triple bond distance. So the pi electrons is not easily give to nitrosium ion, and NO plus which forms in many salt. So these are the bond order and all the things. So this and NO has a paramagnetic property due to this lone pair of electron. Okay, and if I am taking about NO plus, so these electrons I will remove, and I will get a diamagnetic property. Nitric oxide is a good ligand and form a variety of complex in a transitions metal, and that we all know that we are writing it as a nitrosyls. Okay, then similar another compound is dinitrogen trioxide. So you can easily prepare by via reactions between NO and NO2. Okay, so you will get NO3 as your product, N2O3, and the bond distance between N and N is 1.864 angstrom. Okay, nitrogen dioxides, or sometimes you will get this kind of dinitrogen tetroxide. Okay, so this is also similarly like you can do reaction with copper with nitric acid. So you will get nitrogen dioxide. Similarly, if you are nitric oxide, then you can do reactions in presence of oxygen. You will get nitrogen dioxide. Similarly, from lead nitrate, you can prepare nitrogen dioxide. So in nitrogen dioxides also there are 17 electrons, which is an odd number. So that's why it is a paramagnetic. Okay, so I will also show you the how in MO molecular orbital theory you can place your electron. Okay, so this is the things. Like here, this is the atomic orbital for nitrogen, and this is the atomic orbital for oxygens. So as I told you, you don't have to consider the inert configurations. Like for 1s2 you don't have to consider. For 2s you have to write electron 2 here for nitrogen, and this is for oxygen. And for P here you have to write 3 electrons for nitrogen, and this is for oxygen. So first you have to place always electron in bonding orbital, and this is your anti-bonding orbital. So anti-bonding orbital always denote by star, and bonding orbital you can represent it by normally like. So that's why like initially you have to place 2 electron here, then here. Okay, once this occupied, this both orbital is occupied, you have to go here. Okay, for like these 3 electrons, 1, and here you have to take these 3 electrons, so total select 6 electrons. So 1 electron will remain, that you have to write here. And due to the presence of this one unpaired electron, the magnetism will occur, and hence N2O4 or I can say NO2, it is a paramagnetic behavior. Then dinitrogen pentoxide, and this is also very useful for synthesis of the nitric acid, and hence it is obtained from HNO3 by doing reactions with phosphorus pentoxide, phosphorus pentoxide. So like this you will get dinitrogen pentoxide or nitrogen pentoxide. So it's a solid, and in the state it is act as like NO2 plus and NO3 minus ion. Okay, so in anhydrous H2SO4 it produces NO plus 2, and this is the mechanism how you will get this structure. Okay, so this is one kind of resonance, and mostly this is useful to preparations for the nitration in nitration. So if I have a benzene and if I want to produce a nitrobenzene, I can use N2O5 in presence of sulfuric acid. So similarly, like nitrogen, phosphorus also can make oxide, but as I told you, it can make only +3 and +5 oxidation state oxide, and like in P4O6 and P4O10. So for P4O6 you can easily prepare from white phosphorus, and if you are burning this into air at 600 degrees centigrade, you can produce this. And similarly, if you have excess oxygen, then you can produce P4O10. Okay, so these are the these oxides are in a solid state, and why this oxide cannot form a simple structure like nitrogen, because as we know that they don't have an ability to form a p-pi bond. So mostly they are a cage structure, and the structure are based on P4 tetrahedra. So the position of phosphorus is like similar to in carbon, which are like tetrahedral, and in P4O6 all 6 oxygen is attached. That we will see how. So like you have to just put all phosphorus here initially, and if you have a 6, then you have to attach all 6 to here terminal and make a bridge. Okay, so in this oxide phosphorus form regular tetrahedron, and oxygen atom are present at 6 edges, and tetrahedron and bridge create atom. Okay, so all oxygen atom are equivalent, and phosphorus oxygen distance is 1.64 angstrom. Similarly for P4O10 you have to do same. You have to place 4 phosphorus to initially on tetrahedral space, and then you have to attach 6 oxygen, and the rest of the 4 oxygen that you have to attach with phosphorus as a terminal atom. Okay, so here there are 2 different kind of bonds are present. The one is between phosphorus and oxygen single bond, and phosphorus and oxygen double bond. Okay, so the bond length is also a different. So the bond length between phosphorus and oxygen is like 1.6, and for terminal it is a double bond, so that's why this is little bit less.